Final lit number 1 for 5 minutes. It's a long answer. The question is, will you review your notes and relate your diagnosis of Miss White's psychological condition? And so you have words that come out on your 141. You have Mexico recapitulating.
Recapitulating?
Did it come out, Monica?
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay. That's how you write it, okay?
Waiting.
Anything else, Monica?
No, that's it.
Okay, and so this is going to be your 140 lit. I'm going to mute you. Okay. Final exam for 5 minutes, number 1. She described briefly how a drunk in a truck pulled up right in front of her car, and that she thought that he didn't see her, that she was forced to hit him broadside. She then went into a brief discussion about how the doctors say that they have done all they can for her, that in addition to the problems in the first accident, there were problems involving her arm, her shoulder, and her knees. And now her problems, physical problems, are neck and back, that she's having a lot of headaches, that her left arm, which was apparently on the mend, is once again bothering her. That she remembers only thinking right at the point of impact that somehow this is a rotten joke, that I can't believe that this is real, that at the point of the accident, subsequent to that, she felt in a state of shock, disoriented, that she was able to begin some relaxation after she got to the hospital, but at that time did not feel any pain. Later on, her right arm began to hurt her, that she did develop pain, or that the pain started about 2 days after the accident, that she was also diagnosed as having a whiplash injury and lots of ongoing residual pain. It seemed like the whole thing started all over again with her. She does not report bad dreams of this particular accident, that she prays for and welcomes sleep because the sleep gives her respite from the pain, but she finds it generally quite hard to get to sleep because of the pain. That she is very irritable, she's hard to get along with, that she's unreasonable and argumentative, that she even looks for things to get angry about, that her current psychological state, in her opinion, is even worse than what it was from the first accident, and that she seems to have a lot of the same complaints psychologically, that she's had lots of flashbacks about the first accident, lots of thoughts and feelings about the first accident, although it seems to her that both accidents are similar, that she has periods of uncontrolled anxiety and tension without knowing why, that she's irritable and she has lots of sleep problems, that she finds herself sleeping during the day, then harder to get to sleep at night, that she feels like she has been losing it psychologically, like she's felt at the brink, meaning that she's felt like she could have had a nervous breakdown subsequent to the second accident, that she feels totally like void or empty, no feelings whatsoever, that when she gets into a car, she has bouts of anxiety in the car, and she feels this anxiety when she stops at a green light, that she finds herself overly cautious, and she certainly doesn't take anything for granted now when she is driving, that she keeps her foot on the brake even when she goes through an intersection, and that she still feels numb. Then she tells me that her dad passed away 6 weeks subsequent to the second accident, that she had to deal with the immediate pain of his loss, that she had to go to Mexico to take care of it because he died in Mexico, that she had to put everything aside, which means her own treatment, and that she feels that she's not through grieving about her father. There are lots of family tensions as a result of the litigation involved in dealing with the estate, and that this specifically has to do with dealing with her mother, who is divorced from her father. She feels that her physical injuries were re-aggravated and that the new ones, the neck and the back, are giving her lots of problems. She has lots of moments of confusion and recapitulating her feelings about the first accident at the point where she left off in treatment. She begins to talk about the fact that she has moments of confusion about that she can't put her finger on what is happening to her in traffic situations as a result of what happened to her in the first accident, and complicated okay. And so then we have your 160 number, I'm sorry, 140 number 2. Sorry, Monica. Have, Mr.
Sorry.
Findley, Findley, Miss Yadeg.
Yeah.
And that's it, Monica.
Okay.
Any questions on anything?
No questions.
Okay. This is going to be then, I'm going to mute you, Monica, 140 lit number 2 for 5 minutes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am about to give you my opening statement, which is what we will show the evidence to be in our opinion. Before we recessed court yesterday, the plaintiff told you a very interesting story. Don't you agree? What we believe is that his story will not be supported by the evidence. Their opening statement is nothing more than that. And it's not evidence of any kind. It's only what is expected to be shown to you during the course of the trial. And like I said, we believe the evidence will show a different result to you than that. In order to refresh your recollection, the plaintiff started off talking to you about Ms. Yadeg and telling you about how she was recommended to a man named Mr. Finley when she was looking for work. She wanted to change jobs, and a friend of hers knew what he was going to be hiring someone for his company. The friend called up Mr. Finley and asked him to join them at a cafe. Miss Yadeg and her friend went to the cafe and met him there. And they talked for quite a while about the possibility of a job and about the kind of person he was looking for to fill the position. The very next day, she went in for an interview with other members of the company, and she was hired. Miss Yadeg was hired to work as the director of marketing. A large part of her job would be to meet with clients who were considering hiring the company to do marketing. Now, Miss Yadeg had worked as a forklift driver before she was hired by Mr. Finley, and she felt that most of her clothes were inappropriate for entertaining clients in. She felt that she had to have nicer outfits. Mr. Finley, her new boss, wanted her to wear dresses and suits, that sort of thing. So what he did was he let her use a company credit card for a one-time purchase of clothing so that Miss Yadeg would have the right attire for the job. He was the one who offered the use of the company credit card. Now, the limit on this one-time purchase was to be $2,000 and no more than that. The evidence will show, ladies and gentlemen, that Ms. Yadeg next told Mr. Finley that she needed a place to live. He happened to have an apartment that was standing empty, and he offered to rent it to her. He wrote up a lease agreement, which you will see in one of the exhibits that will be shown to you during the course of the trial. The agreement was then signed by the two of them, and Ms. Yadeg moved into the apartment she rented from her new boss. But what happened next was that she didn't live there alone as Mr. Finley wanted her to. Instead, she brought her husband and her two children to live with her. The evidence will show that Ms. Yadeg next told Mr. Finley that she needed money in order to furnish the apartment. She asked him for a loan, and he agreed to give her money so she could buy what she needed. Another one of the exhibits you will be shown is a copy of the loan agreement that the two of them entered into. The document will spell out the terms of the agreement and the fact that she agreed to repay it in full. It is signed by both of them and notarized. Make no mistake about that. Next, Ms. Yadeg decided she needed a new car. You will see that she argued that the car was a gift to her, but it wasn't. The evidence will show that although Mr. Finley loaned her the money to buy a new car, his name was on it as the lien holder. His name was on the title to the vehicle. This was not a gift, but a business transaction between them. The evidence will show she gave Mr. Finley 7 post-dated checks in payment of the car loan. The checks with Ms. Yadeg's signature will go on to your 160s, 120s. Okay, Monica,
Okay.
are you going to log off, Monica?
I'll log off. Okay, bye.
Are you going to type on Monica?
Yes.
Good luck.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye, Monica. Okay, so we have your 120s, and you have on your first 120 proper names. You have Thanksgiving Day, Labrador Retriever Hunt Club, Labrador Retriever Hunt Club. And it's a long answer, and the question is this the full extent of your husband's mental cruelty? Okay, and this is going to be number 120, number 1 final for 5 minutes. And it's a long answer, okay? Well, no. During the time when we went to the marriage counselor suggested that I ask my husband if he still wanted a divorce. This was about 6 weeks or better after we had been going to her. And so I asked him one evening, and he said he had not changed his mind. Since then, on repeated occasions, he has asked me to get my clothes and move out, that I could move anytime I so desired. Whenever we would have an argument, this would always be the last resort or his last statement. He would say, "Get your clothes and move out." This was usually his last statement. I have other incidents of his mental cruelty too. You see, I knew I would get upset, so I wrote down some things so I would know what I was talking about. One thing he has found out that bothers me is when he lays on the couch to watch television. That is the only place for us to watch television. He shoves with his feet and puts his feet in my lap to make me move. Whenever he is late for dinner or doesn't come home, he has never called me. I would say maybe on the fingers on one hand is what I would guess is the number of times he has ever called to tell me that he was not coming home for dinner. Also, when we have had company, he has been known to go in the other room and read, or read in front of them. Also, on occasion, he has been known to leave by another door and leave the company. When I'd ask him about his comings and goings, he said that was his business. Particularly 8 to 5 was his business. When I go anywhere, I'm asked where I have been, who I was with, and so forth. Also, there was this thing about his leaves and where he was going and his military occupation. I don't care to know any military secrets, but I would like to know when his leaves are, where he is going, and who he is going with. And I have always had to find that out either by overhearing it when he tells someone else, or maybe someone tells me about it. Also, there have been several instances when we have had company and he has been in his dirty clothes. One time, particularly, was Thanksgiving Day, when the dining room table was set with sterling and fine dishes, and we had a guest in our home. He came home from hunting and he had on his dirty hunting clothes. He had taken off his shirt, and his thermal underwear was the only shirt that he was wearing. When the table was set with sterling and china for Thanksgiving Day dinner, and a guest was present, I think he should have changed his clothes and cleaned himself up. His manners at the table are most aggravating. He explained to me not long ago that the reason he didn't use his napkin was because he didn't think he would slop his food in his lap. Another instance was when I was sick not very long ago. I had to ride in an ambulance. And when I came home, he went out to dinner. He went out to dinner and went to a Labrador Retriever Hunt Club meeting and left me all by myself. Also, another time, about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I was sick in bed and and then you have your second 120 lit final, Mr. Mr. Abdul, Miss O'Shea, Mr. Zolsky. And this is going to be 120 lit number 2 for 5 minutes, okay? Mr. Abdul, let me ask you one more time if you understand what I am telling you or not. I am becoming very frustrated with the situation here in my courtroom. I have suggested to you over and over, and I have made calls to your office and have spoken to someone there. I believe her name is Miss O'Shea. And you continue with the exact same process that I have asked you to make changes to. There is no reason for these witnesses to have to sit here all day long doing nothing at all because you are not prepared to do your job. You do not have to have them here sitting in the courtroom waiting to be called. I have asked many times, Mr. Abdul, that if you don't know for sure if you will be calling them up to the stand, then don't have them come and wait on the off chance that you will need them to testify. It is unfair to them, and I am tired of trying to reason with you. I see no reason why you can't have them on a standby basis so that they know in advance there is a chance you may call them in, but they don't have to be here in this courtroom. It could be something like a 4-hour standby in which they understand there is a possibility of being called in, and they need to keep a cell phone near them at all times. You don't need the witnesses sitting here like this all day, Mr. Abdul. You know by lunchtime each day if you are going to get to them or not, so it shouldn't be a problem for you to call them on the phone when you are certain you will need them. You can get a home number and a cell number from each of them, can't you? There is nothing difficult about doing that, yet whenever I suggest it to you, you refuse to take care of it. I have reached my limit with you, Mr. Abdul. I am trying to work with you and be reasonable, but you seem determined to undermine the process. You need to work this out with your witnesses, and then perhaps you and I will be able to work together on this case. I hope I am making myself clear to you. I don't like having to get to this point of frustration with an attorney, but I feel strongly that you have been lax in your judgment. All right, I am going to try my best to move past this and make this day a normal one. Now, I am going to follow the law, and the law requires that those things be set forth into the record. Mr. Zolsky, you cited a Supreme Court decision earlier, and I wish I had it here before me on my desk. I had it earlier and I let someone see it, and now it is gone. I don't know who it was that took it, but it is gone. I will be honest with you, though, and confess that I don't have the latest news in front of me at all times. So I don't know whether or not it is cited in the advances. I don't know whether it is cited for publication yet. So I really shouldn't use it. My job is to see that the law is followed. So I don't want to be the person who breaks the law. If you show me a law that says that you can do it without, okay, and so that concludes your lit finals, you all. We'll reconvene tomorrow with Q&As, okay, and multis, okay? Have a great day. Type them up ASAP.